Welcome to WP Coffee Talk. Thank you to all of our sponsors, and especially to our espresso level sponsors, Helix Managed WordPress Hosting, for both their sponsorship and for hosting our site, and to Expander Digital for both their sponsorship and providing SEO services to us. Now enjoy the episode. Welcome to WP Coffee Talk. Today I am honored to have Ben Pines from Elementor with me. How are you doing today, Ben?
Hey, how's it going? It's
It's
great here.
going. It's snowing here. I don't know what kind of weather you have there, but
Oh,
I'm gonna.
here it's very convenient, very hot. So it's cool here in Tel Aviv.
I'd be happy to trade with you. I had to clear the snow
Yeah,
off my
for
car this
sure.
morning. So tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do.
Well, I'm Ben, and I head the content at Elementor. I'm also now an Elementor evangelist, which basically means I'm going to start doing more meetups and WordCamps, hopefully traveling and spreading the news.
That's awesome. And I got to meet you face to face when we were both at WordCamp US last month, which was really nice. There was a lot
Yeah.
of good people there.
Oh yeah, it's like a condensed event of everyone you usually talk to on Twitter, and it was really nice to, put some faces on the images.
Absolutely, especially because everybody's Twitter profile doesn't look like them in real life.
Oh no, especially animated ones. People can get very creative there.
Exactly. So show me your mug. I always ask people, show me what mug you have. I should be surprised. It's an Elementor mug.
Yeah, of course.
I have with me, I'm drinking out of my WordPress thermos. This was the one item that I bought for myself at the very first WordCamp US in 2015. So
Oh,
it
it has
was,
some history now.
it has some history. So it's for what, 5 years old, and it's like, as I say, it's like it was an expensive purchase for me at the time. I was freelancing, and to spend like almost $20 on a mug was like, but I thought I deserved it.
It's your contribution to the WordPress ecosystem,
There you go,
the start of
exactly.
it.
Yeah, I was gonna
That's
say I
great.
like to think I do a little more now, but yes, that was the beginning.
It
The
started,
beginning.
the ball rolling. Yeah.
Exactly. You and I have been following each other on Twitter for a while, so it's nice to actually, see you face to face and be able to talk to you about what you do. So tell us a little bit about how you got started with WordPress.
Well, I actually got started in an SEO firm. So I was promoting, websites. It was back when WordPress was just a blogging system. It was 2006, I think. And my boss was like, "Why are you promoting all those WordPress? Why are you using all those WordPress sites to promote our clients?" And he was sure that it's only for blogs. But we actually got some great results back then. With Google was much easier. So that was the beginning, and from then I started my own business with affiliate sites on WordPress, and eventually I came to Elementor 4 years ago.
That's wonderful. Um, when you think back over, so you've been using WordPress almost since it started then, so you have a lot of history to be able to think back on. When you think of all the sites you've seen over the years, and especially more recently what we do, what do you think is something that we, as a community, as web designers, developers, what do you think we could be doing better to make the sites that we're putting out for the public stronger and better for them?
Well, one thing for sure is thinking, if you would ask me that, I think 2 years ago, I would say there's a lack of knowledge of the importance of design in WordPress. But over the past 2 years, I've seen phenomenal, awareness of this. I mean, we were seeing amazing websites that are pristine looking and top notch. So this is a mind shift that already happened. And I think the next big mind change will be the knowledge of the importance of strategy when building websites. So when you're building a website, it's not just taking a theme or a template and recreating or customizing. It's more about understanding what a business does that's well, that does it well, and how you can recreate the same success on a website.
I'm glad you brought that up. I helped somebody in our local meetup a few years ago. She couldn't understand why nobody was buying the jewelry. That her website was a jewelry website. And, when you looked at her navigation across the top, the shop was just one small navigation, but it was buried in the middle of all the rest of the navigation. So how do you expect people to know what to do when you don't present very first thing when they come to the website? What are you supposed to do? So you're exactly right. Yeah, I agree 100%. Strategy is very important.
Yeah, and you get, I mean, you have hundreds of tutorials teaching how to create a website, but most of them skip that important part, meaning that it's not just putting parts together, it's actually figuring out what the user wants and how you can deliver on that promise.
Exactly. What's something that you wish you had known earlier in your WordPress career that you've learned since that might have made life a little bit easier early on?
I think that being it's kind of a subtle understanding of kind of piecing how everything works together, like seeing the whole picture, because you get, it's very easy to think like a designer, think like a developer, or think like a marketer, but seeing the big picture is something that has helped me tremendously today, and that's kind of what a lot of what my focus is in the content we create and in the mindset that we're trying to deliver.
That's what makes teams so wonderful, right? Because in a team, you could have people that have different focuses, but when you're a freelancer and you have to think of all three of those together, it can be much, much more difficult for sure.
Yeah, so to achieve that because you have so much information pouring in from everywhere. You have, I mean, I don't know how many blog posts are published every second, so you get so much information. The way that you can actually manage to organize that and actually, I don't know, read something and have it affect you, is actually have to have the right focus and the right perspective. And that really took a long time for me personally to kind of own and understand. And that's, I think, a big shift.
And one of the things you made me think of with the blog post too is that we're always told that you have to have, at least 300 words. More words is better. But then we're also told, but everybody's reading it on their phone, so brevity is important. So finding that balance is very difficult sometimes.
The one thing that I found about content, is that actually the best advice you can get is not from other blog posts. If you want to know what kind of content wins, you actually need to look a lot on what kind of content does Netflix put out, what kind of content wins on Spotify, on Instagram. If you're a content freak like I am, you're able to watch a movie and say, okay, now I can think about a new way I can present content in my blog, which is what makes amazing content.
That makes perfect sense. That's good advice, is not to always just look in your own industry, but look beyond and see how actually is what people are paying attention to. I like
Yeah,
that.
for sure. Plus, you can also do some cool things. We recently did animated for Halloween. We did animated client horror stories. So we actually collected from our community a certain example of clients that were, let's say, on the trouble spectrum, and we gathered all those stories, and we made animated videos from it. And people really, they were like, where did this come from? And they were really enthusiastic about, because it was funny, it was humorous, it involved the community. That's the kind of content I'm really proud of.
Yeah, things that people really engage with and enjoy.
Yeah,
That's wonderful. I'm gonna
for
have to go
sure.
look for those if they're still out there. I want to see them now.
Yeah, really cool. Especially there was one nudist colony horror story that was just hilarious.
That sounds fascinating. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's 100% based on our community. It's really, people had experiences you wouldn't believe.
I love it. I love it. I'm going to definitely look for that. And you know, every company, you know, we have our own little stories about things that people have done and said that are really funny, and you can't always put them out publicly because you don't want to make fun of your customers, but when your customers volunteer those stories, that's another
Oh yeah,
that is
yeah, yeah,
perfect. I love
exactly.
it. Now
Priceless, yeah.
you've been to a lot of word camps and meetups and interacted with the public a lot. I'm sure as evangelist you're going to be going to even more, which is wonderful. When you think back over all the different WordPress events that you've been to, is there one or two moments that were very inspirational or pivotal to you, either as a speaker, you know, in the hallway track, or somebody that you met or somebody that you heard talk, and what was it?
Well, actually, yeah, in WordCamp, the last WordCamp Europe, which was in Berlin, there was, I mean, we did a meetup, and in the meetup, I met with Rob Hope from One Page Love, who was one of the speakers on WordCamp. So he came to our meetup, which was fun because I only met him through email before. So then I met him on the meetup. Then next day on WordCamp, I met him again before his lecture. So we kind of had a great conversation. Then I saw his lecture, which was amazing on landing pages. And then he interviewed for our podcast on the same topic. So it was kind of a whole circle of meeting someone. It was like the amazing power of actually attending an event in terms of the relationship you can form. And this happened again and again. Every person that you meet, you can form a much closer relationship. Basically on WordCamp, I have to say, I have to kind of spill my guts because I usually don't go to a lot of lectures because I'm at my booth or talking to people. Mm-hmm. So for me, the most influential moments were the conversation I had with either other plugin developers, founders of other companies, or users.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I find that too because, you know, working with Give, I'm usually either at the table or depending on what camps I'm going to, sometimes I'm a speaker or an organizer. And when you're doing some of those things, oftentimes you don't get to go hear other lectures, but meeting people is just amazing.
I just love picking people's brains, our users' brains. I meet them and I immediately start off like, tell me about your business. What do you do? How do you use the tool? Like, it's kind of an obsession. I can't. Okay, it's like I'm like a fan of our users. I don't know how to explain it otherwise.
Well, that's the thing you asked me. You're like, if there's anything you think of that I should know about our plugin and about our builder, let me know.
Oh yeah. I did it like 50 times last WordCamp. Yeah.
That's great. No, that's great though. I mean, that's what we ask people too. When they come up and they're like, I use Give. He's like, well, what do you use it for?
I tweeted a while back that I think I wouldn't be any good as a freelance. It's not that I wouldn't be any good. I'm an obsessive person. So I think it would be too much, I would work around the clock because that's the kind of person I am. So with Elementor, it's like it becomes an obsession of some sort. I don't know how to explain it otherwise, but I think you do have to have that certain kind of obsession to be a good marketer. You have to have that spark of like, I'm really interested in it. It's really something I love to do.
A passion for the product, for sure. There are people who have jobs and there are people who have careers. And the people who have a career become passionate about what they do. And that's something that is beautiful when it happens, for sure.
Yeah, so beautiful, sometimes scary, but it is beautiful.
If you become too obsessive,
yeah,
that's not
wake
good.
Up in the middle of the night and just shouting the competitor name. I don't know. Well, that didn't happen to me yet. But
and then your spouse says, this has to stop.
Exactly, yeah.
So speaking of Elementor and your community, talk a little bit about, what Elementor is. I mean, unless people are in the WordPress community living under a rock, they do know what Elementor is. But talk a little bit about why you think of Elementor is good, why you think it's the best perhaps, and just anything you'd like to share about the product and the project that you do.
Basically, the premise, we launched on June 2016. And the premise was that it made no sense to pick a theme and then you're stuck with one design. So the idea was to bring the same level of design and customization to WordPress, make it easy. Along the way, we've built like a whole suite of marketing, development, and design tools that all are supposed to help you reduce the friction and make it sustainable to build successful websites. So when you're building a website pre-Elementor, it's really hard to understand the scope of what you're building. You're a web designer, the client wants, I don't know, a certain kind of website with certain kind of specifications. Then you need to start piling together this plugin, that plugin, and the scope, if something goes wrong, it's really hard to build a career around that. So that's the thing that we brought in Elementor, is that ability to build amazing dynamic websites that reduce that friction and make it really a sustainable business, really a business that you can build a career upon. So that's what our tool does. And yeah, it's fun to promote it. We've built it from, we were a small, when I started 4 years ago, we were, 5 people. I was the only one doing marketing. Today, 4 years later, we're over 100 people. We're the 8th most popular plugin, over 3.5 million active installs. So yeah, even your dog is
even the dog likes it. That's
excited.
Right. I brought the dog to the office today. It's my parents' dog, and one of my father's having surgery today. So I said, I'll take care of the dog. He's usually very quiet, so I apologize for the interruption.
It's good, it's good.
So talk a little bit about the community that builds up around a product like Elementor, because it's amazing, the Facebook groups and the, meetups and things that happen. So talk a little bit about how that actually evolved and where do you see it going next?
So the founders of Elementor are really part of the WordPress community. So they've built 100% free plugins, successful plugins that they donated for accessibility and for kind of security plugins. And so we were already in the mindset, and they were active in WordCamps, etc. And we were already building this company in the mindset that we believe in open source and we believe in the power of open source. So that's kind of what led us to make a lot of decisions that now have generated this amazing ecosystem. So there's a Facebook community. I think it's one of the best, really, no doubt, one of the most active community, which includes people who post questions and a lot of people that help out and answer those questions. There's hundreds of add-ons and plugins that actually extend Elementor, extend its functionality. I mean, we have a set number of developers. Having that ecosystem means we have hundreds of developers extending the plugin. There's going to be, in 2019, we started our first meetup. And 2019, we're going to have 100 meetups this year. So, and there's the translation, there's a whole, the whole, how we conceive of the expansion of our product is hand in hand with the community. Most of the features we put out are, I think, like 80% are actually feature requests that we get on GitHub. So it's like a close connection between us and the community, and until now it's worked wonders. So hopefully it'll continue to do so.
So I'll tell you my experience is I had started using a different page builder probably 4 years ago, 5 years ago. And I think you start using one and you become so familiar with it, it's hard to kind of branch out and use other page builders. But then you inherit websites that have other page builders in them. And, you know, I won't throw anybody under the bus, but there was one that I inherited that I was just like, oh, I don't think I can work on this project because it was so difficult to use. And then I inherited another site that was built on Elementor. And I was like, oh, here we go again. Another page builder. I'm not aware of how to use it, but let's just take a look. And I was like, oh, I could use this. It was intuitive. It was very, very easy for me to use. And I was pleasantly surprised that it wasn't something that was there was no hurdle to using it. There was not a huge learning curve. I think having a background and understanding how page builders worked was definitely helpful because I didn't have that initial learning curve, but it was very intuitive and I didn't have any difficulty just like jumping right in and using Elementor. So I was very happy about that.
Thank you. It's great to hear.
Yeah, it was awesome. And so now I've been using it on, you know, other sites. I don't do a lot of freelance anymore because I do so much with Give, but it is exciting when I get opportunities to use Elementor and to use, you know, other plugins and things along the way as well. So,
well, Michelle, hopefully continue to improve it and help you make more amazing websites.
I have to find time to do more of those outside websites. and then it'll happen. So it is exciting when, like you said, when different meetups kind of build up around it, Facebook groups that can be so active. And it's really interesting when you go to a meetup and somebody says, you know, well, what page builder should I use? And 4 people or 5 people have 5 different answers to that, which is always fun too. Everybody seems so attached to whatever they've used. You know, and the same is true for forms. You know, it's like, oh, you have to use Gravity. Oh, no, you have to use Caldera. No, you've got to use Ninja. No, you've got to use Contact Form 7 or whatever. And so everybody is so, and don't ever ask anybody in a group who they should host with because you know, that's a crazy question.
But yeah, for sure.
But
I think, well, I can't say that, I think one of the reasons that that you need, when you think about which plugins you use, one of the reasons you should consider that people might not consider as much is really the sustainability of the company. I've heard a lot of from a lot of users the same story where they chose a plugin. Apparently, it was a mom and pop, you know, kind of plugin. Then that person vanished, or and the person was left with a plugin and a website that's not functional anymore. And that's that really sucks, especially if this business that the person is growing is kind of growing and becoming bigger than the plugin that they used initially starts working. So I think that's one. When picking plugins in general, I would do the due diligence. The same is when I choose, you know, I don't know, when I choose a teleconference software, I look into what the company, how much I trust it. So that's a big thing, and I hope this is kind of a good kind of a change that the WordPress industry is moving towards more sustainable companies.
One of the questions that I hear in our meetup sometimes is, well, since we have Gutenberg now, why should I bother using a page builder? I mean, I know the answer because I prefer to use page builders, but what is your response to that?
That's an excellent question. Well, Gutenberg, we see it, it's more of, it's great for, you know, writing content. If you're building a website, there's a lot of functionality that you need to bring into the picture in terms of fine-tune design. It's really, I think, impossible to build a one UI that fits everything. If you think about how different Medium is from Photoshop, I gave a kind of analogy recently. It's like writing an email on Sketch. So you wouldn't go and write an email on Sketch. And I think that's kind of, Elementor has kind of because of its widgets and ease of use, it offers a really easy way to build on the one part, highly visually designed page or website, and on the other hand, one that is connected to, you know, all the marketing tools and has all the pop-up and forms, all the marketing things that you would need, even our WooCommerce builder. So I think that's the biggest difference. And the other thing is with our theme builder, that's really a game changer. So when now people are used to go to their favorite theme shop, pick a theme, and then they're stuck with a theme, now they can actually visually design their header, footer, single archive posts. And this really makes a huge difference, especially for those designers that kind of have to stay competitive and bring out, you know, I don't know, a dozen or a few dozen websites every month.
Yeah, I think it's very exciting. All the different things that y'all have coming out, and that you have such great, 1 second here. My watch just decided to play. Sorry about that. I got a phone call through my watch. I thought I had turned off the Bluetooth, and then I couldn't hear you anymore. Okay, back to you. So one of the exciting things for sure is the ability to use, I think, to be able to use a page builder in conjunction with Gutenberg. So for example, on a blog that I've recently started, you know, I just use Gutenberg for the posts because it is good for content, but I don't have to use Gutenberg for the pages. I can use Page Builder for the pages. So to be able to do a hybrid like that, I think is really exciting too.
Yeah, I would even give another example where you custom design your single post and put, you know, put it exactly how you like it. Maybe a featured image, maybe some share links. You can place a sidebar however you want to design it. And then you can actually write the content of the blog post with images and everything on Gutenberg, and have that single post that you designed in Elementor's theme builder spread across different, different categories. And we're actually coming out, I can maybe give a sneak peek that we're actually coming out with another cool feature, I think pretty soon, which is dynamic colors, meaning you'll be able to actually designate the right different colors to per category or whatever condition you want, and then have really a differently designed pages and blog posts according to category. So that's really cool.
Yeah, that's very cool. I like that you said it's a game changer earlier. I think that you definitely are one of the companies out there that is changing the way that we're able to use WordPress, and that you have, you know, some free content. It's obviously there's paid content too. Otherwise, how could we all continue to work? But it's really very exciting. And it's fun to watch you all grow and to meet all the people that you have at your tables. And you know, this is WP Coffee Talk, and one of the women who was working at your booth at WordCamp US, you had some pins that said "I like my coffee" #000, and she knew who I was, and she came over. She made sure that I got one of those pins before they ran out, so that I had the coffee one. So I was like, that was really sweet. Really, really nice people that you're working with over there.
For sure, yeah. And it's those pins she actually designed them, so it's really cool. Yeah. Shout out to Lisa if she's hearing right now.
We'll have to make sure she finds out. Let me move into what I call the rapid fire questions, and we'll see what kinds of answers you have for people here. What are 2 or 3 must-have plugins that you would recommend to somebody who's building a website?
That's a difficult question. I would say, obviously Elementor, but I would say that my favorite plugins is WP Rocket is cool. Obviously, Yoast SEO. Gravity Forms is a really great plugin. Which else? I think that's on my top list. Yeah.
Yeah.
If I must have, I'll think of other ones as well, but
You can
that
tweet them
pops
out
in
later.
mind. Yeah.
For sure. At any point in your WordPress journey, have you had a mentor, whether it was an official mentor or somebody that kind of took you under their wing, as we say? And who was it?
Well, there were. My mentor was actually Yoni, the founder of Elementor, because he's the person that came up and comes up with all the design vision. Outside of our company, well, actually, we do have. When we formed the community, there was one person was that was an admin, and actually along the way we actually hired him to be a part of our company, whose name is Verdi. And it's not we're like each other's mentors, because we have kind of this list of books that we read and share notes.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so I would say those a few business books recently really are, I see them as not mentors, but like
Mm-hmm.
heroes, and they've been very influential to me personally recently. Yeah.
That's awesome. Who is somebody that you admire in the WordPress community and why?
Hmm.
I know it's hard because you know so many people, but think of one or two that you could give a shout out to.
I think Christy from Liquid Web is. I mean, I love what she does. So she's definitely and I think Vova, Vova from Freemius also definitely someone. Ionot from Theme Isle is someone I admire very much. Um, who else? There's so many.
Yeah, I know.
Uh, I must be forgetting some, and of course, Yoast is someone that I really admire and love the things that he does. I've been following him also for years, since he just started the WordPress plugin, and even before, I think. Yeah, there's many more, but I'm drawing a blank right now.
That's a good handful. That's a good handful for
Yeah.
sure. What's something that you still want to learn in WordPress, but you haven't learned yet?
I love to learn more about the actual process of design, and that's my next big project, because until now I had my handful in marketing and in content, but my personal perspective is keep the perpetual learner, always learning
Mhm.
new things. So I'd say that yeah, that's something. I mean, design, business, keep learning about marketing things, um, marketing to millennials. I mean, everything is there's so much. I do try to find the balance um, between kind of having a focus for a time period, really learning for the sake of action, and then that's kind of my focus right now.
That's awesome. At least you didn't say "Okay, boomer" to me.
Well, I think there are a lot of marketers. I think there are a lot of marketers that kind of stay on the theoretical level, kind of
Mhm.
can comment about what's happening. And for me, it's always been very important to be hands-on and to actually know what I'm talking about. So every, I mean, no matter what I do, I always try to keep, I mean, in the past, I did, the tutorials, the actual step-by-step tutorials of how to build things. For me, that's my personal, I would say, my personal say in the marketing world is just not just trying to do marketing, but actually walking the walk, doing things
Mhm.
and doing hands-on things. So that's something I think I'll keep doing throughout my career. Actually, the hands-on, it's very fun.
This is my favorite question, by the way. What's the biggest mistake you've ever made in WordPress, and what did you learn from it?
I think the biggest mistake was it took me a while to do that leap. I think for kind of understanding that I can do more, I can lead people. I think that was it's not exactly a mistake, but it kind of took me time until I kind of appreciated that it's something that I want to do and something that I can do. And ever since I made that switch, it's been like a really game changer. So I would just tell Ben from the past, like, get on that horse and start riding it, because really it's just work is so much more fun, where the mindset before that was just very focused, very task oriented, and focused on what you can do. And after that change, it's like you kind of you're open to seeing the world in a different light. Like, you're open to other people and ideas, and it just opens up a whole new world of possibilities.
My other favorite question is this one. What's your proudest WordPress moment?
I think that, I mean, we did a step up in our magazine, wherein we turned it from kind of this blog that mainly focuses on features to a whole content system with videos and with regular slots, weekly slots. And for me, that's the proudest moment, like that I could be part of it, and could create something like that. And along the way, there's so many proud moments. I mean, every feature and every crazy video we do, that's kind of what I'm really proud of.
That's wonderful. I have very similar experiences. Everything that I do is always getting better and better. So it's like, oh, this is it. Oh, no, this is my proudest moment. So yeah, that's wonderful.
I'll also share, it's kind of also a technique that I use. It's kind of really seeing the world in terms of milestones. So if the first if we're talking about, let's say, podcasts and getting guests, so it's always like, okay, what level, who can I get? And then always kind of, I think the challenge here is always knowing what who you are. Like, it's self-awareness, knowing who you are, what can you reach, because then you don't waste time and energy, and you can just keep climbing small steps, and then you see that scaling up of achievements.
Absolutely. If you can build your career based on always feeling even better about everything that you do, then that's a wonderful way to live, isn't it?
There's one line that I remember from Jordan Peterson, that's someone that I like to follow, that he says, always compare yourself to your yesterday self. Don't compare yourself to others, because there's always someone better than you, and who cares,
Right? Yeah, exactly.
So,
they're on their own journey.
yeah.
If you weren't working in web technologies, building websites, marketing, all of that, your current career, what's another career that you might like to attempt?
I did dabble in improv for a time period, so maybe acting, but most likely writing. I love writing, so I think yeah, for sure, writing.
Nice. Have you written any books yet?
Oh, that's I think that's an answer to one of your next questions.
Which is what is something on your bucket list?
Oh, definitely a book. Writing a book, that's definitely something I'd love to do one day. And maybe form another comedy group. I don't know. Maybe do stand up. I don't know what I'm gonna do.
I wrote a book last year, and it was an amazing feeling to have that book out there. It's self-published. It wasn't picked up by anybody big, and I haven't made $1 million off it, but just having finished it and getting
Not
something
yet.
in print. Not yet. That's right. I'll send you a copy. But yeah, it's an amazing feeling to have that kind of accomplishment. So I know you'll get there. It's just a matter of finding the time. It takes a lot of time.
Oh yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Show us or tell us about one of your hidden talents that people in the WordPress community might not know about you.
Well, I do impressions.
You do? And who is your best impression?
I don't know, people from the office. We actually
Okay.
did we have in Israel we have Purim, which is like kind of like the Halloween of
Yeah.
Jewish people. So we did a video where we kind of did impressions of people around the office, and I did most of the voices. So that's kind of something I like to do. But most people don't know that I impersonate them. So let's keep it between ourselves.
Wait, but I have to ask, do you have a Matt Mullenweg impression? Can you do Matt's voice?
Well, I don't know. I think that that was my.
That was good. He's so quiet when he talks.
I think that it's very delicate. Like
Yes, yes.
what we want to achieve in work. Yeah, that's yeah. I need to work on it. I
That's
love
great.
it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Next time you're on the podcast, I want a little bit more.
Oh yeah. I'll recite the whole speech.
There you go. At least the first part.
Yeah.
Well, this has been awesome talking to you. I don't want to take up a ton of your time, but I also want to know, how can we find you online? Websites, social media, Twitter. How do we find you?
Well, I started tweeting not long ago, but I'm at bpines1. That was what was available. And in the Elementor blog, elementor.com/blog. I'm not on Instagram so much, but yeah, that's basically how you can reach me.
And how do we find Elementor on Twitter?
Just search for Elementor. It's the pronunciation. It wasn't available, so again, it's Elementor without the E between the M and the N. So if you
Gotcha.
want,
Squished it together.
yeah.
Thank you so much for being here with me today. Anything else you'd like to add before we go?
No, just amazing podcast, and keep doing amazing work.
Oh, thank you. And same to
Thanks
you.
for having me.
Yeah, thanks for being here. And, we'll see you at the next meetup or the next WordCamp. Hopefully I'll see you sometime in the next year. It'd be good to see you.
For sure. Talk to you soon.
Thanks. And goodbye to everybody out there in, WP Coffee Talk land, and we'll see you on the next episode.